Hello everyone, welcome to the Canadian Edge. Going to look at another knife today, and the knife that we're looking at is by Buck. And I'm excited. I like Buck knives, and Buck is finally paying attention to what's happening in the knife world. I shouldn't say that. Buck makes a lot of old style knives and they make them very well, but they're trying new things as well and appealing to what's common in the market nowadays. And so I was glad to see the different lineup that Buck is presenting now and has a lot of good things. And so we're going to take a look at this one. This is the Buck Decatur. And the Buck Decatur has a blade length of 3.5 inches. Open, it is 8 inches. And closed, it is 4.5 inches long. The steel on this is a 7CR stainless steel. It's got a drop point blade on it, and the weight of it is 3.4 ounces, so it's a fairly light knife. The handle on it is a G10, and I like the design on the handle, if you can see that. Yeah, that's a little better. Sorry, my lighting isn't great. And so yes, G10 handle on it, and it has a right hand tip up deep carry pocket clip. So sorry lefties, it's not reversible. Just had the right hand carry in mind when they made this one. And it is a liner lock, and it is a flipper opening. And probably the thing I like most about it is Buck put ball bearings in the pivot, and it is actually fairly smooth pivot. It works really well. You don't have to give a lot of effort to open that up, and it snaps open pretty well. So kudos to you, Buck. I'm glad that you're doing this, because this is a nice knife. It's kind of a simple design to it. There's not a lot of fancy stuff on it, but it's kind of like a gentleman's knife, and it's very similar, if you're familiar with the CRKT CEO, if I can get it open. So it's similar in design to that. Also, CRKT has the LCK Plus, which it's very similar in design to that as well. The LCK Plus comes in a bigger version as well, and you can check out the review on both of these knives on the channel. So it is very similar to that, and Boker has a brand or a style of knife that is very similar to this, but it's a simple design, but it's an attractive design. I really like the aesthetics on this. As I say, the G10, I like the texturing in it. It almost looks like a micarta in a way when the light hits it right, but it is the G10. I like the swedge up on the top of the knife here, and it's a nice knife. It feels good in your hand, and the blade lines up down the middle, and there was no blade play, which is nice. And like I say, Buck makes a good solid knife, so you can count on Buck. And Buck has their, I believe it's a lifetime warranty on their knives, so that they last a long time. And if it's failure on the part of the knife, and that Buck is good to take care of you. And so yes, I am liking the design of this knife. This has been an impressive knife to me so far, and the things that I like about it, as I say, I like the aesthetics. We've gone over a little bit. The ergonomics are pretty decent. You might find it a little better with jimping on the back, but again, that's just a preference of mine. I prefer jimping on the back of my knife blades so that I can get a good purchase with my thumb. It really fits the pocket well. You hardly notice it in your pocket because it is a slim design. And the pivot on it is nice and smooth. Excuse me. So the pivot works well. Things that I'm not impressed on is this pocket clip. Boy, I gotta tell you, I don't know what they were thinking in the factory when they made this pocket clip. It works well as a pocket clip. It's quite stiff as a, for a pocket clip. And but this part here, that's brutal. It digs into your hand. Boy, you notice that part right there. It really sticks out. It would become a hot spot in your hand very quickly. I did see one video where a guy took and he cut this part off and then just rounded down here so that he had a shorter pocket clip and got rid of this part. So whoever in the factory was responsible for this, give their hand a smack, because that does not work on this knife. It really is uncomfortable. You really notice it. But as I say, it does fit well into the pocket and it stays well in your pocket. So the pocket clip does its job, and also the screws are not recessed, so they will do a bit of wear and tear on your pocket. But those are the only complaints I have on the knife. And like I say, this can be fixed if you really want to, or you can probably get a different pocket clip altogether and put on there. But yeah, it's something that you can fix. It just isn't comfortable the way it is. So let's take a look and see what this has for sharpness. It oops, wants to rip it a little bit. Maybe we'll try on this end. There we go. It's cutting a little better there. Get a better purchase on the paper. So it cuts paper well. How about the good old zip tie? See what it does with the zip tie. And it went through that pretty easy. So it seems like it has a pretty decent edge on it. Oh yeah, cuts through that no problem. And through our nylon cord. Just pulled it back and it sliced right through there. So it does have a decent edge in the 7 CR. While it's not going to hold an edge for a long time, it is easy to sharpen, and so you will be able to sharpen that. And I was going to mention too, they do have a little bit of texturing on the handle, and while it looks good, it could be a little bit slippery, but under normal circumstances, you do get a good purchase on the knife. So it may or may not be slippery if you had wet hands. I don't know. But overall, I really like the knife. The knife itself is really nice. Buck did a good job, I think, in keeping current and presenting some different pocket knives to what they sometimes make. And so I'm very impressed with the knife. So that is the Buck Decatur. You can find these anywhere that Buck sells. I believe, I think Cabela's does sell these. Warriors and Wonders here in Canada sells them. I'm sure a lot of places that sell Buck knives will carry these. So, and they're kind of a mid-range price on them too. I think they're around $50 for the knife. So it's a nice knife if you looking for a decent budget knife and you like buck. There's a good one to check out for you. So Buck Decatur. Thank you for joining me on this review, and I'll be doing another review in a couple days, but until then, you stay safe and stay sharp.